Martinsville, Rockingham, and Texas. The teams and drivers here have been progressively unleashing more and more horsepower as the tracks this year on the schedule have been getting bigger and bigger. Tonight, we take a step in the other direction as we head to the world's fastest half mile. Hello and welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel's coverage of Round 4 in the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series here at Bristol Motor Speedway. High above these some 160,000 virtual spectators, you'll find the booth, as well as yours truly, Nick Schmeg, joined alongside by Adam Lindgren. Sean Crackers Ambrose will be our director for this evening, and as always, he'll be using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Adam, it's the last great Coliseum. I've watched dozens upon dozens of stock car races here, and it's safe to say I've been on the edge of my seat for any of them. Why don't you tell us a little more about the venue of choice for tonight?
Well, Nick, our venue of choice is one of the choicest venues in the U.S., Bristol Motor Speedway. Clocking in at just over a half mile or 0.86 kilometers, the Last Great Coliseum is one of the shortest, fastest tracks on the 3 premier NASCAR Series schedules. While Martinsville had concrete in the corners, Bristol picked it up a notch and put concrete all around this track, making group high and tire higher. These drivers will be diving low and deep into the variable 24 to 28 degree banking in corners at the beginning of the run, then keeping it tight on exit for the 4 to 8 degree backstretch and 5 to 9 degree front stretch. With both straights only 650 feet long, you spend most of your evening in corners, making Bristol one of the most painful on tires. After about 10 laps, which is only around 15 seconds for each lap, you'll see these guys move from the bottom of the track to the top, trying to preserve tire life, only lunging down the corners to attempt to pass. Why do they call this Coliseum? Because aerodynamic damage doesn't matter, and moving your competitor in the corner could lead to a win or to your demise. The extreme banking, high speed, low visibility, wrecks develop quickly, and usually include a lot of trucks. Bristol races are usually one of two things: an exciting line dance or an all-out bar brawl. Which will it be tonight? We'll find out after we take you on a few laps around this brilliant track in a NASCAR Kinder Series truck in our GSRC guide.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel. I'm Brian Yazek, taking you for a spin around the Bristol Motor Speedway in the GSRC Chevrolet Silverado. Without further ado, here we go. Hot lap at Bristol. You're going to be kind of not quite the full bottom, but not quite the top. Kind of run this middle right here. Let it float down, grab the gas, get a good head of steam going off here into turn 3. Same situation here. Let it float up maybe a little bit in the middle, pick up the gas, drive it straight down. Now as the run progresses, probably about lap 5 on, you're going to see guys in the whole field all the way up here against the fence. Drive it straight up there, straight down. Same into 3 and 4. Straight up here, let it roll, a couple signs on the wall, then pick up the throttle and let it drive straight off at the corner. That's going to complete our quick track guide here around Bristol. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
And that lap guide, as well as this entire broadcast tonight, is brought to you by Established Traffic Control. Founded in 2005, Established Traffic Control is a leader in traffic control and traffic safety in the state of Pennsylvania through maintaining great relationships and providing exceptional customer service. In addition to being able to provide all you need for traffic safety, ETC makes custom signs, from street signs to company logos and everything in between. These custom signs make great gifts and wall decor. You have a design, ETC can make it. Shipping is available as well. For more information, visit establishedtraffic.com or email Brendan Chatley at bchatley@establishedtraffic.com. Adam, we're always picking up new viewers in the series, and we always love to have them on. And they've tuned in for a good one tonight at Bristol, so let's take a look at the race details.
Definitely, Nick. We have round 4 of 10 of this PRL truck series. The trucks we're racing are the Silverado and the Tundra from the NASCAR Gander Truck Series. We also have fixed setups and restricted fuel. So theoretically, they should take fuel in this race, but we'll see with all the cautions. The race distance is 150 laps if we go full length, but it's also a 55-minute session. The incident cap is 17 tonight, so they have a little bit more wiggle room to play with than last week.
Yes, indeed. Not a whole lot of room to play with at all when it comes to Bristol, though, so it's going to be very interesting to see. And these drivers are not just fighting for a win tonight, they're also fighting for points. We have a Drivers' Points Championship as well as a Team Points Championship. Take a look at the drivers' standings on screen now, though. 2 straight wins for Bradley Holly. coming into tonight, looking for a three-peat here, looking for a sweep at Bristol. That sounds like a familiar storyline in NASCAR. Behind them, a tie for second place, though, between Nick Delp and Rob Haynes, who has moved up a whole lot of spots up into second. 17 points back, they sit just 1 point above Austin Hunter. And Dominic Begine fell from second all the way down to fifth. He's sitting 20 points back behind Holly right now. But like I said, Adam, they are also fighting for a team's championship.
Definitely, and the team's championship is getting a little spicy. We have Texas Racing with Bradley Holly's success hanging out at the top of the standings right now, and right behind them we also have the two team of Car Ramrod. The third team in the championship is Back Row Racing. The fourth team is Savage Drive, and the fifth is Left Lane Motorsports.
Definitely some great competition going on, and there you see the team standings on the screen there. Apologies for that little technical difficulty, but great competition going on at all times in this series, and these guys have really been leaving everything on the line. It's been just an absolute blast to see. So what better place for the next round for tonight than at Bristol Motor Speedway? We are watching qualifying wrap up right now. We've got a couple minutes left of that, and right now it is William Hartman, looks like, sitting at the top of the board with a 14.814.
On board with Mike Richter right now as he takes his laps around. Looks like he had a issue on that lap. There we go. He puts in his fastest lap of the day, a 14.86. That's not going to be quite enough for him to get up there. He's in second place, but that's really close. Charles Sumner is the next truck, going around right now. And he's crossing the line now, a 14.7 for him. That's going to be a good one. That's going to put him in first place.
Charles Sumner's been looking faster and faster, and we just saw J.R. Smith as well go up there for second place, so a new front row as of now. Brendan Chatley making his laps right now in that ETC truck.
He's entering his first lap now. He's coming here around the backstretch. These laps are really, really short, under 15 seconds. It's going to be really quick tonight.
Do log them off pretty quickly, but that also spells trouble a lot of times. We'll have to see how much chaos ensues here at this very hectic half mile. Bradley Holly has just jumped up to second. He's looking fast already. He's actually tied with J.R. Smith for second. An exact 7.88, down to the thousandth of a second, somewhere down the many decimal spots. I'm sure Holly's got that position, but sitting in second right now. And that is a big advantage to him as well, because he's going to be starting on the outside, which we do see oftentimes the preferred line here. I think that is going to wrap up our qualifying tonight. Looks like everyone that would like to set a time has set a time.
And while Bradley Holly may be starting on the outside, the inside actually is pretty strong early in the run. So if Sumner can get off the line early, he'll be really in good shape to lead this race.
Trucks are getting on the grid now. Let's take a look at that starting grid. Charles Sumner and Bradley Holly make up row one here in Tennessee. J.R. Smith behind him, Will Hartman and Mike Richter will round out the top five. Richter's being joined alongside by Rob Haynes in the 29 machine. Thomas Sink and Robert Malikian will be behind him in row 4, and row 5 will be Nick Delp and Brendan Chatley.
Jarnhill coming in at the start of row 6. Next to him is Colton Lane. Then we have Eric Roberts in 13th position next to Austin Hunter. Alec Lumpkin in 15th on row 8, right next to Ray Richer. And we have Dominic Begine. The high point scorer is back Mard in 17th position, right next to Ronald McManus in 18th. Brandon Walter in 19th on row 10, and Robert Bassad Jr. in 20th, rounding out that top 20.
And the last truck in a sheet all of his own. He's going to be back. It's John LeBaff in the 911 truck. He also did not get a qualifying time in, as well as Walter and Bassad Jr. But remember, John LeBaff, while he's starting towards the rear, he did win Martinsville to kick off the season, another half-mile track. So while the two tracks are very different in a lot of respects, I think John LaBaffe is certainly going to be a threat tonight if he can make his way up through the field. He's had problems with that the last couple of races, though.
Yeah, if you have a long green flag run, you can actually make quite a few moves if you preserve your tires early in the run. But Bristol has a tendency to breed cautions, especially when you pack up the group after a caution. So, as they always say, cautions breed caution. And this race, Bristol is one of the most common to breed those cautions.
Indeed it is. Trucks still gridding up. Charles Sumner has the pole for tonight. That'll give him 2 bonus points as well in the standings, which I'm sure he will love. He's also coming off of a bad week last week at Texas. The 1.5-mile track down there did not treat him well. Ended up finishing 14th and a lap down after running into some trouble. So that 98 truck looking for redemption here in the Coliseum. Truck's beginning to roll now for 2 pace laps tonight.
Definitely, and it'll be very interesting to see what Charles Sumner decides to do here on this start. If he can get a good launch off, he'll hit the car on his outside and get right up there and hold that first position. It's really hard to pass here, and so it's going to be great.
Making their way around the high banks of Bristol Motor Speedway. Back onto the front stretch. Extra time for these drivers to get their nerves out. Bristol is a hectic one for sure. These half-mile tracks get 2 pace laps normally, at least to start the race, and I think a lot of the drivers appreciate that. Everyone getting extra time to bunch up together. Charles Sumner probably strategizing right now inside the cockpit on whether or not he's going to jump this early or if he's going to wait as late as he can. Oftentimes we see different strategies, especially at these short tracks, but coming through turns 3 and 4 right now, these high concrete walls, the pace car going to pull off 150 laps in front of him. Charles Sumner waiting, and he takes the green flag. The 184 of Holly's actually going to beat him to the line. And already they go into turns 1 and 2 side by side.
Holly got a fantastic start there on the high side. It wasn't the corner that did it. It was the start off the line. Everyone's starting to file out to the outside already, but that's just going to make some opportunities for the people on the inside as Sumner is still stuck on the bottom, though.
Sumner trying to charge back as much as he can right now, but he's being freight trained on the outside. The 67 of Hartman gets by. The 33 of J.R. Smith gets by, and Sumner has just now been able to slide in line. In front of him, battle for second. J.R. Smith to the bottom. He's trying to make that low groove work here early in the run.
One of the things we didn't talk about is how green this track is. It's only the practice that they did beforehand that was able to log laps for them and rubber down. So here we are going on board with J.R. Smith as he's got a good run here on William Hartman. He's going to slide up in front and take that position away.
Yeah, Hartman got really tight out of turn 2 there on the backstretch, and already he's going to end up losing that spot. He slides right behind J.R. Smith and right in front of Charles Sumner, who's found himself back in 4th. He's fending off a very hungry Rob Haynes for that position right now.
And we're taking a look back at Sumner now. And, man, this is a really clean start, to be honest. I was expecting a little bit more chaos. Everyone's just deciding to log laps here, but wow, they're backing up quite a bit behind them.
Ooh, they are indeed. The 48 of Thomas Sink. He's got all kinds of pressure from Brendan Chatley, and behind them, they're side by side. That's Malikian on the outside in the 18, and Nick Delp on the bottom in the 58. Colton Lane taking a peek from behind him as well.
Yeah, they're really packing up there behind Delp and Malikian there. As Colton Lane there on the high side in the 60, he's going to try and make a move here on that high side, go around the top side of the 58.
Looks like the battle for the lead is picking up once again. J.R. Smith has found some pace, and he's looking to the bottom right now around 184 of Holly, but the caution flies as soon as I say that. And this is the 44 car of Bazaar right in front of him. Oh, my. Looks like Basaw and the 89 of Alec Lumpkin, the two trucks involved in this one. This was down in turn 2. Take a look at what happened here.
Yeah, it looks like he got together. Wow, there's 3 trucks involved in that accident. 4 almost here. As we go take a look on board now with Robert Basaw Jr. as he exits the corner here on the backstretch, entering into 3. They go in side by side, and oh, looks like the truck below him got quite a bit loose. It came up into him.
We'll ride on board with Alec Lumpkin. He went for quite a ride and somehow avoided. I don't think he made any contact on that pit entry, but he came down pit road to avoid it. You'll see.
Yeah, he was just pushing a little hard, and you know, when you take that low line for the first time and you haven't done it in a while, you get surprised by the state of your tires, and so it can get really uncomfortable with diving low like that. You get a little loose, and so I guess that's what happened to him, and he just slid up the track into Basaw.
I can report as well some bad news for John LaBaff fans. He picked up a bit of front end damage from that as well. He came through and clipped one of the trucks sitting sideways, so problems already for your winner at Martinsville. But as that caution came out, we were watching a side-by-side battle between the 2 leaders, and that went back to Holly, but it looks like after pit stops that has changed hands.
Well, surprisingly, yes. It looks like Holly did take a pit. No, Holly did not take a pit stop. The positions are just quite a bit swapped, according to my screen. Holly did stop. Okay.
Holly came in. Yep.
So yeah, so J.R. Smith decided to stay out, along with Thomas Sink and Chatley, and Malikian as well as Colton Lane. Those top 5 decided to stay out. Interesting decision, considering tires are premium here, and we've got a pretty decently hot track at 87 degrees Fahrenheit or 31 Celsius. So we'll see how these guys do.
And it's always different as well on a concrete track like Bristol. The rubber doesn't normally melt into the track. It kind of lays on top of it. So it does create for some, it puts an extra emphasis on the importance of grooves. But that is going to shuffle J.R. Smith to the lead and Thomas Sink to second. Brendan Chatley will be third, Robert Malikian fourth, and Colton Lane in the 60. The only Mid-South driver in this field today. Not sure if he's from Tennessee, but he's, we'll call him a home club driver.
And keep your eyes on Thomas Sink on this restart. We've seen how hard of a charger he is on restarts, even with no tires in the last couple of rounds. Watch to see him challenge J.R. Smith for the lead here.
Bradley Holly is back in 6th in the 184. He's got fresh tires, and it looks like it was a 4-tire call for everyone that came in, as well as I'm sure some damage, and of course a tear-up. Pace car about to head in. They'll be coming up on lap 15 out of 150. A tenth of the way through, J.R. Smith gets on the loud pedal early. Here in the last Great Coliseum, down into turn 1, it looks like he's going to clear Thomas Sink, who's way on the outside. He's got a mirror full of Chatley behind him.
Definitely, yeah. J.R. Smith really packed into that corner and made sure that he was going to make the move stick. It's going to spend a little bit of his tires, but if he can stretch it out now, we've got a really good opportunity for him to really stretch this lead. They all start to file out and all go high here. We got a couple trucks stuck on the bottom there. That looks like Robert Malikian stuck on the bottom.
Bradley Holly trying to gain spots with those fresh tires. He's gone to the bottom as well in the 184. The 67 of Hartman, another one with tires, trying to gain spots as well. Like you said, Adam, that'll work for a little bit, but at some point it's going to equal out, I tend to think.
Holly and Hartman are the first people with 4 tires, so they're trying to use up those tires against these guys who have not taken tires yet, and that's why you see them on the bottom and being super aggressive right now, as Holly goes ahead on Colton Lane.
And it's a great test for these drivers as well, because we might get a late race caution, as Bristol so often gives us Chatley kissed the wall there a little bit, but a great test for these drivers to see how much of importance these tires are going to be longer and later into the race. Holly already, though, has moved his way up to third, and looks like William Hartman on the bottom. He's looking to gain some positions as well.
Yeah, these tires are a premium, especially right now. As it gets later, they might not be as much, but I think coming in early was actually a really good move for these guys. They might have the power to pound up there and get towards the lead. But J.R. Smith, that being said, he's opened up a 3/4 of a second gap to the lead now in front of Thomas Sink, who has about half a second from Bradley Hawley, who's that truck we've been talking about, the first one with tires.
J.R. Smith does have a big gap in between him and Sink for first, but that gap between Sink and Hawley, it was about half a second. Now it's down to a couple of car lengths. He is closing in on him, and in a hurry.
Yeah, Hawley can just put it deeper and deeper into the corner because of his tires, whereas Sink's tires are starting to wear out a little bit. I think we're going to see Hawley make easy work of Thomas Sink, and if not, he can just move him up the track and get him that way.
Thomas Sink, another driver looking for revenge after last week. DNF'd out of the race at Texas down there in Fort Worth, and there's blood in the water, I'm sure, for a lot of these drivers that did not have their weeks go well last week. But a position lost there for Thomas Sink, as he saw on screen, and that's going to move Bradley Hawley up into second, and he is already beginning to chase down J.R. Smith, the leader, in the 33.
And while Hawley goes and chases Sink, we'll see whether Hartman can do the same thing. We're going to go back and take a look at P6, which is a really interesting battle here. We've got Sharn Hill actually right now sitting up there. Yeah, they're having a great battle here. Look at this side by side. This was actually a lot closer just a couple laps ago when they were honestly banging doors right there. These three guys are really duking it out.
The 29 as well in that mix. Rob Haynes, he's got the 51 out of nowhere of Mike Richter coming up underneath him there, almost able to take that position. He's going to be fighting hard on that lower groove once again through 3 and 4. Just can't quite get the run out of the turn that he wants to, like Rob Haynes can.
You've only got so long you can be on the bottom and maintain tire temperature and pressures, and so I think Mike Richter's just spent his tires a little bit much, and he's going to have to stay on the high side and see whether he can work down those tire pressures and get those temperatures a little bit more under control, as he's got a challenge from Charles Sumner, a pole sitter who's stuck all the way back in 10th position now.
For 6th, Sharn Hill's going around, trying to get around Chatley. He got a decent run off the corner despite being on that lower side. You'll see that track, that groove get rubbered in more and more the more they keep using it. But right now, the 5, we've seen him be aggressive a lot in the first 3 rounds here in the PRL and NASCAR Truck Series, and he's not letting Bristol be an exception for him today.
And you see how deep he dives into the corner. He's not sticking to that bottom line. He's actually going half a lane up. That's actually going to be the fastest way to pass trucks if the person on the outside gives you room. So that was really intelligent of Sharn Hill to make that move, and really respectful of Chatley to give him the room to do.
That bunch back here looks to be making their way through single file now. Maybe a little bit of a challenge for Sumner, or from Sumner, I should say, underneath the 51 of Mike Richter. He got a big run off the corner. He's got the 66 behind him as well. That's Dominic Bajin back there lurking.
Yeah, Charles Sumner is really trying to make up those positions that he lost in that opening accident and taking that first pit stop. And they're really bunched up now behind, everybody's just bunched up now behind Rob Haynes, who's in 7th position now, as he's hanging out on the bottom as Brendan Chatley tries to make the pass on the high side this time.
It is a traffic jam back here for sure. It should come as no surprise that the 2 drivers with established traffic control on the hood are leading their way through this bunch right now. They're doing a great job, and right now they're under great pressure from Sumner as well.
Mike Richter got into the wall a little bit there through 3 and 4, so he's going to have to back off a little bit. That just tells you that your tires are a little bit spent, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, Sumner's been looking good the last couple of laps. So has Dominic Bajin now on the bottom. He's looking for a way around the 59 of Chatley. And a pass for 5th place. Sharon Hill has just gotten around the 60th Colton Lane.
Yeah, he just made a dive down to the bottom and was able to make it work. And yeah, it looks like Sharon has got some great tires, but we're going to go up to the lead right now. Bradley Holly's been putting some significant pressure on J.R. Smith in the last couple laps, just about a car length behind.
And it looks like J.R. Smith may have even scrubbed the wall there a little bit of a bobble there from the 184 of Holly as well. Wasn't able to eat that gap up as much as he'd like to, but you see a little bit of a lane change here. J.R. Smith going back down to the bottom. This might be a little bit of desperation in him trying to find some speed down there. He knows he's got a very hungry and very fast Bradley Holly behind him, who would love to get up there and snatch that 3rd win of the season.
We also have some shadows coming onto the track in turn 4. So as you see Bradley Holly going into the corner here, he enters this shadowed area. That's where actually dipping down on the exit of the corner might end up being beneficial as we get further and further into this race and that patch of track cools down.
Well, it looks like that's been working because J.R. Smith has found speed for now to hold on. Take a look back further through the field, 10th place. Brendan Chatley continues to lose positions despite being on the outside. That's Eric Roberts in the 28. Haven't talked about him much tonight. He's going by to break into the top 10.
And you may be wondering, why is Chatley going backwards? We know he's talented. Well, he didn't pit, and now the results of that are starting to come back to bite him. He's now fallen all the way back to 12th position. He's falling back more and more positions. These people who didn't pit, with the exception of J.R. Smith and Thomas Sink, they're really starting to struggle.
I think a lot of drivers may have anticipated a shorter green flag run than what we're seeing right now. And it's making the strategy very important, to say the least.
Let's go back and take a look at P14. This is Robert Malikian. If you remember correctly, he was up at the top 10 at the beginning of this run, but he's been struggling a lot with tightness in the truck. And he's been hitting the outside wall. If you take a look at that right side, it's quite banged up. I know that most of our cameras aren't positioned for that, but as you take a look at the right side of his truck right now, that is a banged up truck, and he's lost a lot of positions due to that damage.
And that black and blue truck in front of him, that's Nick Delp. He was also in that mix. Take a look at Sharon Hill right now. He's back up in 5th, battling with William Hartman. And man, Hill's been on a tear here recently because this is for 4th place. He's trying to gain that spot down on the bottom.
Yeah, it looks like the bottom lane is starting to pick up a little bit of traction, especially for those guys who didn't hit. And as the track cools off now, well, actually, it's heated up since our last caution, but as it cools off because of the sun, it's going to be quite interesting. The air temp's 80 degrees, so the track temp has gone up from 87 during that caution run to 94 degrees. So these truck drivers are having a real struggle trying to figure out where the fast line is. And it really varies from corner to corner, especially now that 3 and 4 are completely in shadow.
Pretty hot afternoon here in the Great Smoky Mountains. And right now, Sharon Hill trying. Oh, that was close. Almost made contact with Thomas Sink. Already up for P3. Sink on the way extreme outside line. He is chasing him. Sharon Hill, I'm sure, trying to save as much tires as he can. Staying on that outside. He's done a great job so far of just continuing to power forward through this field. Look at that run he gets coming off of turn 2.
And with these tires starting to wear away and the difference in tire wear between those who have pit and those who haven't, it's likely that we're going to see a caution. So those guys who haven't are just trying to stay out and survive until somebody else wrecks, and they're hoping that they're not going to be the one in trouble.
Ooh, William Hartman closed that gap as well behind him. That neon yellow truck really made some headway there. A bit of a checkup from Sharon Hill, but right now as we take a look forward at Sharon Hill, he's peeking down at the bottom. He's going to try to make that bottom groove work once again.
Yeah, he's dived it down low there, and he's going to try and pack it into the corner here, but I honestly think that the top line is ending up being the preferred line again. It's kind of waffled a little bit in the middle of this run, but as the track starts to cool off, that top line is going to gain speed, and as you can see, He's just not having any luck getting past.
The battle for the podium continues. Thomas Sink holding him off right now. Sharn Hill trying to hold off William Hartman in the 67, but he's also trying to chase down Sink right in front of him. You see Hartman and Hill both that time go to the bottom line. Seems like that might be able to work. They just got to keep that momentum up to the corner. It's so hard. It gets so slippery coming out of the turns.
As we take a look with Hartman, see he's taking that middle line, which is starting to rubber in. You can see the rubber from this angle really well. And as that line rubbers in more and more trucks will be able to dive down there, especially if we get another caution and if people are able to get time.
Yeah, you can see that middle lane that he's taken. Ooh, got very wiggly coming up against the wall there. He's taking a peek under the 5 right now. It's not going to make that work. I think they're all in striking distance right now, but they have not taken a shot that works. Oh, a big run off the corner from Sharn Hill. He's going to have to fall back in line, though. Not enough momentum for him.
Definitely, and he's doing his best here. Here he takes a really good look. He's got a good exit that time. If he really packs it in here, he might have an opportunity to diamond the corner and get a good run out. That's exactly what he does. He's got a fantastic run here. He just has to do that 2 more times maybe, and he'll have a good opportunity to take that position.
Oh, but look at the momentum shift on the outside there to Thomas Sink. It's crazy what these high banked turns really provide here at Bristol. Sharn Hill's decided to fall back in line. Let's take a look back at another battle that's been raging on for quite some time now. It's this battle for 9th, and actually as we take a look, Dominic Bagine just getting into the wall a little bit. His number 66 truck's torn up just a bit on that right side. He's chasing down Mike Richter and holding off Eric Roberts right now for those spots.
Yeah, Mike Richter just made it past him as it was able to slot right in front right before we came to him. This battle has been raging on for quite a while, and Dominic Bagine has kind of been the cork in the bottle for all these guys. As these trucks start to spread out, the ones who have taken tires and the ones who haven't are really starting to show. As, wow, Dominic Bagine gets quite tight, actually, and goes high in that corner right there.
Yeah, Dominic Bagine really ended up losing that battle quite significantly. Back to this battle we were just watching a moment ago. Nothing has changed, but these drivers have definitely learned how to play with each other, that's for sure, because they're keeping it clean and they're keeping it some just fantastic racing up here. That lap truck they're going by now is Ronald McManus. He had a little bit of a run-in last lap with the wall with Robert Malikian, and that could have actually ended very badly.
Yeah, it looks like his truck is not steering straight. He's having trouble keeping out of the wall on both sides of the track, and he's just going to be a cork in the bottle the whole time.
You can see Sharn Hill get these huge runs off the corner, but the 48, that black and white truck just kind of blocking him right now.
Take a look at how tight Thomas Sink is going into that corner. These lap trucks are going to provide an opportunity for him to make some space because Sharn Hill can't get by on the bottom, but these trucks are getting extremely tight now late in these runs.
Oh, Thomas Sink all the way up against the wall that time as they go by Alec Lumpkin in the 89, who's multiple laps down from that earlier incident. Again, Thomas Sink up next to the wall.
If you're wondering why we haven't looked at the lead, that gap for the lead has spread out to about 3 seconds now from J.R. Smith to Bradley Hawley, and then another 4 seconds back to this battle. So this is the best battle on the track right now.
Yeah, J.R. Smith doing a fantastic job holding on to the lead right now. His best finish so far this season was a 5th at Rockingham. He didn't actually race at Martinsville, so we haven't seen him on a half-mile track yet, but he's doing a great job now and making his way around quite a bit of traffic as well.
He's really started to pull away now from Bradley Hawley. Amazingly, he's made those old tires work. He hasn't pitted this entire race, and as we just cross halfway, this is a really, really impressive run from J.R. Smith.
Lap traffic really starting to play a factor as well, though. We'll have to see if that holds up J.R. Smith anymore.
The battle for ninth is getting interesting. Eric Roberts now going underneath the likes of Mike Richter. We'll see whether he can make this stick, as we've been looking at the battle between Sharon Hill and Thomas Sink. The bottom line isn't really working out for that many drivers this late in the run, but we'll see whether or not Eric Roberts can make it work. He's committed to it for sure. He's trying to stick it out. These guys are actually about to get lapped by J.R. Smith, believe it or not.
They are indeed. We've been green for quite some time, since lap 15, so about a 65 lap run or so that we've had on this green flag stint. Of the 4 tracks we've been to, if you asked me which one was going to have the longest green flag run, I would not have said Bristol.
Like being said, the laps are so short here. That's amazing how quickly and how cleanly these guys are going. One of the things we didn't talk about is your lack of visibility in the corners. It's really hard to see out of these trucks and to see into the corner. So if something happens ahead of you, you have some serious trouble. As we take a look here at Sharon Hill, still trying to work on the likes of Thomas Sink. This battle's been going on for a long time now, well over 30 laps.
Sharon Hill continues to struggle. I don't know if I'd call it a struggle, because he's obviously very fast to get up here in 4th. I just wouldn't hire him as my plumber. He's been working on that sink for a long time.
If we take a look now, they're really bunched up now. I don't know. The next thing we gotta talk about is, are these guys gonna have to do green flag pit stops? That's gonna be a really interesting decision. I would have not have thought that in a truck series at Bristol. Even the professionals have a hard time doing green flag pit stops here, so this is a really impressive run for the PRL guys, and as always, every week, I'm really impressed with these guys' professionalism.
They do put on a great show in all the PRL series. Sharon Hill getting really close. He was putting all kinds of pressure on Sink. I thought he was going to be able to get around him. Wasn't able to, though, still. A little bit of lap traffic ahead of him as well. Basaw is there. Ray Richer is a little bit ahead of him, but looks like it's all single file, so they should be able to get around him.
Yeah, that's... Oh, wow. Take a look at... That was very close off the corner there.
Yeah, that lap traffic's going to force them to go single file. It puts a little bit of a damper in the battle for now. I'm sure the 5 of Sharon Hill would love to see some double file traffic ahead of him, because he might be able to use that as a pick.
It looks like the struggling Robert Malikian has decided to be our first taker on pit road. He's coming down the lane now, and he's in his box. I think he's going to take a little bit of damage as well, so that's not a super contentious stop right there.
Check back in on Mike Richter, holding off the likes of Eric Roberts, still for 9th. They have J.R. Smith not too far behind him. About a quarter of a track still yet to go back to him.
Absolutely, and Brendan Chatley, who just passed them as we started to look there, he actually pitted on lap 79, and he's taken off. The gap between them's almost 3 seconds already. So pitting for tires, these guys are definitely paying attention to that, and pitting for tires might actually be a really good idea. But these two aren't going to do it, because they're the first trucks on the back of the lead lap right now. So they're going to try and stay out as long as possible and make J.R. Smith work to get by him. As we take a look on board with Roberts right now.
Do you think, Adam, do you think they're also pitting for fuel? I know they have a restricted fuel limit here. I believe it's 70% max capacity. 150 laps seems like a bit of a stretch for that amount.
Well, regardless of whether they pit for fuel or not, I mean, they're definitely not going to race this whole race on these set of tires. They're way too slow. Chatley could unlap himself and lap the rest of the field. As we go back and take a look here, we're still taking a look at that battle there. As we take a look, we have a scheduled stop for Lane. Lane is the first biter from that top. And Charles Sumner comes in as well.
It'll be interesting interesting to see where the leaders come through. Man, this battle, we just can't get away from it for third place. That final step on the podium between Thomas Sink and Sharn Hill. This has gone on for, it's going to be 100 laps here soon that these guys have been battling with each other. Just absolutely phenomenal stuff here at Bristol.
Colton Lane and Charles Sumner are going to filter out 1 lap down. That is going to be a significant thing for them as they go forward here. But that being said, all these guys ahead have to pit. But here comes, wow, unbelievable, 3 wide. Here we go on the front stretch as Colton Lane tries to make back his lap. Look how fast he's going through there.
Yeah, that gives you a great visual comparison of these guys on the old and new tires. And look at Sumner coming up right back through them as well. This is a complete traffic jam now in Bristol. Sumner on the bottom there in the 98. He is passing them as if they're standing still.
You may think that the overcut would work here at Bristol, but that only works if there's a caution. The undercut's going to work if it goes green, as it has been. And since there's only 21 trucks on the track tonight, that's a lot of room to race. And these truckers have been showing that they can hold their lines. So it'll be, as we see a
boy,
there. That was crazy.
The 48 of Sink tried to get it woed up for pit road, and that almost did not go well. He has made his way into the pits. It caused a bit of a checkup behind him involving Malikian and Labatt. J.R. Smith coming in as well right now.
Sharn Hill follows him in as well as Bradley Holly.
Yeah, this should be just about everyone, it looks like. William Hartman has stayed on track. He's going to be your leader for now with 50 laps to go. He did pit earlier, so he should be able to go a little longer.
As we see them filter out, we'll see whether or not the undercut worked for any of those drivers who pitted early.
Austin Hunter in the 312 has moved into second. He's that other driver that took the pit stop on lap 14. William Hartman has made his way in the pits now, and that leaves Hunter in the 312 out on track. He's coming off a top 5 from last week at Texas.
Austin Hunter praying for a caution now. He's hoping that some of this chaos will ensue. He'll be able to hang on to that position in the front.
Ooh, we got to take a look at Sharn Hill and Thomas Sink right now because that battle's getting very interesting. They're going around some slower trucks. Hill's going to dive it down to the bottom. This was the battle for what was third place before everyone came into the pits. We'll see where it cycles out, but I would imagine the exact same spot, and it looks like Thomas Sink is still going to be able to hold on to that position for now.
Austin Hunter's come in from the lead and making J.R. Smith re-inherit the lead there. Bradley Holly's still 3 seconds behind, so not much has changed up front, but this mid-pack is starting to get really feisty.
It is indeed. There's action no matter where you look on track right now. J.R. Smith has really opened up that gap. It's a big lead over Bradley Holly. Colton Lane being scored in third place right now with Sumner behind him.
Brendan Chatley, who pitted on lap 79, he's right behind Sharn Hill right now, and Chatley is suffering significantly from that early stop. It would have paid off if they would have gotten a caution during that pit cycle, but now Chatley's stuck out there on almost 30 lap older tires.
Richter and Ray Richer and Nick Delp going past them. And Thomas Sink currently being scored a lap down.
That's interesting. I'm going to have to go back and look at what caused that, but Thomas Sink and Sharn Hill were having a battle for a long time, so it's interesting that Sharn Hill was to come out in 5th and Thomas Sink a lap down in 11th.
He could have been speeding on pit road. He was having problems getting it woed up. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
So here we go. We have 40 laps left to go. Oh, wow, we have a spin. No. And the caution is out for only the second time tonight.
And it is Sink as well.
bad nice gets worse for him.
Well, it was running well for quite some time, but the pipes finally burst here at Bristol. Thomas Sink has gone around. The 5 of Sharn Hill is the driver who gave him help. And while they weren't battling for position, it's very ironic that they were the 2 drivers involved in that one.
Yeah, it looks like it was just a meeting of the minds in this corner right here. As you can see, Thomas Sink comes down, well, as we see them battle off the corner, Thomas Sink's going to come down off the corner a little bit, and Sharn Hill stays in the middle, and they just meet in the middle, and that sends Sink around, pulling out the caution.
Looks like we have some varying pit strategies here as we see, take a look at Thomas Sink there. J.R. Smith has come into the pits from the lead. Bradley Holly has not. Sharn Hill has also stayed out. It looks like everyone behind him have come in. So Holly and Hill should be your new top 2 once everything cycles through here with all of these wave rounds.
This will be very interesting. Only a very select few trucks stayed out. I think it was only the top 3 stayed out. So we'll see whether or not, as Rob Haynes comes into the pits now, late, we'll see whether or not these top 2 can hang on with 15-lap older tires. You know, Nick, they should have a pretty good chance of it, actually, because as we go around in these pace laps, the track temperature is dropping like a rock, down from 93 degrees down to 87 degrees. Look at this track temperature. It just continues to fall and fall as they do laps around, pace laps around right now. So it's looking better and better for Bradley Holly and Sharn Hill the longer we pace.
Indeed it is. I think you're exactly right there. The sun is setting here at Bristol. It's 7:21 p.m. virtual standard time right now. The great thing about Bristol as well is these huge grandstands make it so it blocks out the sun for you a lot of times. You don't get that awful glare coming off of a specific turn, and it just provides extra shadow for you to get that truck gripped into the corner that much more. So I think you're right. It's going to be interesting to see, though, how this fares for everyone. Yeah, the trucks that pitted, I mean, J.R. Smith, the first truck that pitted, he's only in row 2 on the inside with Colton Lane on the outside, so not too much of a buffer between them and Holly and Hill, who stayed out.
Not much of a buffer at all, and, you know, Holly seems to be very committed to making exciting racing here, because it's going to be very interesting to see how they hold out now as the pace lights go off on the Ford Mustang pace car. Whether they can hold out up there on the front lane, but Bradley Holly seems very committed to making an exciting finish.
They get together here on the backstretch. It'll be 34 laps to go here at Bristol, and if we stay green, that'll go by in a flash. But these drivers are going to be racing more aggressively than ever, which, if you're just joining us, is going to be extremely aggressive. Pace car pulls off here at Bristol. Bradley Holly's going to get the jump after a little bit of a checkup, and already the 33 of J.R. Smith has cleared Sharn Hill for second.
Sharn Hill spun his tires on that restart, and that really held up Colton Lane as well. As Charles Sumner takes a look underneath the 2 of them, he's going to try and make those tires work as well, as J.R. Smith really puts the pressure on Holly as Holly gets into the wall, entering the corner. Bradley Holly's underneath. Sorry, J.R. Smith is underneath.
They're battling hard behind him for all of those positions, but right now for the lead.
Sharn Hill goes around.
And the caution has come out. Sharn Hill, indeed, the driver involved, and actually
Thomas Sink sends him after the accident.
Oh, tempers flare at Bristol. So this all started back in turn number 3. Sharn Hill with contact from the 60th Colton Lane. He got down into the 51, and I don't know if that was, yeah, Thomas Sink not happy with Sharn Hill. If you're just joining us, they were in a long battle earlier, very long battle, riding on board with Colton Lane.
Colton Lane was just pushing him through the corner here and pushing him down the straights. Colton Lane was ready to go, and looks like Sharon Hill was not, and so Colton Lane just moves him and gets him out of the way. And then after the accident, Thomas Sink just kind of waiting for Sharon Hill, just gets into his left rear a little bit. I'm not sure whether that was intentional or not, but it sure looks a little shady after the last accident that brought out the last caution.
Well, I think it's safe to assume it was, because after that I can report Sharon Hill did not obey the orders to stay in line and powered down and just about took out Thomas Sink on the front stretch. So it is your classic short track racing action. And Sharon Hill also has taken it behind the wall, but both the 5 and the 48 have pretty significant damage after those altercations.
I wouldn't be surprised if he overwent the incident limit of 17 with those altercations there. But that's going to make J.R. Smith the leader now, and we also have Charles Sumner in second place, William Hartman third, Colton Lane fourth, and Brendan Chatley in fifth.
Well, they don't call it the last great Coliseum for nothing. We have seen all of the fighting happen throughout battling and throughout other means as well, which we often see in racing.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Bradley Hawley decided to take a pit stop there. He has now filtered back into the 8th position, the first truck on the last truck on the lead lap, and that's an interesting strategy, but I guess he saw how well the new tires were working for the guys up front and decided he needed a good new set of boots too, because he didn't think he could repeat his last start.
I reported earlier that Sharon Hill took it behind the wall to call it a night. He actually came back for a moment, but race stewards were very quick to tell him to go back to the PRL NASCAR truck hauler to have a little chat with the officials, I'm sure. With that being said, though, we've still got a race on our hands. We are going to be down to 27 laps to go. The pace car is going to be pulling off here in turn 4. J.R. Smith leading, and it's Charles Sumner, a new face up front tonight on the outside, but he's not going to be there for long because J.R. Smith gets on the loud pedal very early. And already you see William Hartman challenging for that second position on the bottom. He's going to have it, with Chatley behind him also making headway.
We'll see whether anyone has the pedal to get to Smith up front. But as we take a look, Chatley really struggling there on the bottom lane. Bradley Hawley getting into the back of him at 3-4.
Hawley's going to be in a hurry for sure. He's got quite a few obstacles in front of him, though, in the way of other trucks that don't have fresh tires.
Blink now and you'll miss it, but we only have 25 laps left, and that is not a lot of time at Bristol. These truckers have got to go if they're going to catch.
Everyone hustling now more than ever. A couple of drivers in real life have compared Bristol to racing with fighter jets in a parking lot. These fighter jets definitely have their afterburners on now. Hawley making another spot up. That's Rob Haynes he gets by, and that already is going to put him into the top 5.
Yeah, Hawley's charging forward. We'll see whether he makes a quick look at Colton Lane, but Rob Haynes and Bradley Hawley were thinking the same thing entering 1 and 2 a couple laps ago, and that just got Rob Haynes all bent out of shape. He heated up his tires, and that allowed Bradley Hawley to slip on by. We'll see whether he does the same thing here to Colton Lane.
Oh, I think he's going to. He gets down on that bottom so nicely. Actually got a run off that corner, though. Just can't find the power and the grip down there as much as Lane could on the top, chasing Sumner for 3rd.
Whereas Hartman up in 2nd place has pulled out almost a second lead on J.R. Smith. But Sumner's really struggling now. Colton Lane's right up his rear bumper, and Colton Lane is trying to look for a pass while Bradley Hawley's trying to look on a pass on both of them.
Riding along with Sumner, looking back at Colton Lane there in that white number 60. And Bradley Holly as well. He's looking for his third win in a row, but right now he's got to get past these two trucks to have a shot at even the podium.
He had a pretty decent run there, but he decided to think better of going underneath in the middle of the straight. It's actually good to do what he's doing right now, which is stay high in the middle of the corner and then try and diamond it off and dive down low to get a good run on the straights. Oh, wow! Colton Lane gets up to the 98.
Colton Lane went for the spot. He tangled with Sumner. Now both of those trucks out, but we stay green. They're off the racing surface. They get back going. Bradley Holly, the easy way, gets up into third place, and now he can chase William Hartman for second. Now the caution flag flies. And you'll never guess who it is. It's Colton Lane.
Yeah, Bradley Holly's saying, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. He's going to be excited about starting in third position now as we go back to the replay now of Lane and the 98 here of Charles Sumner.
Yeah, I saw that we stayed green there. I was wondering if they were going to be able to get back going nicely. Colton Lane just, that truck wanted to step out, and actually he clipped the 18 of Robert Malikian on the backstretch when this happened. I think that's what brought the caution out. Robert Malikian just trying to get through there, minding his own business. He's been 14 laps down for most of this race as well. He just wants to finish this thing.
And Malikian not having the greatest of days as he comes off the corner. He sees the accident down low and decides to, take it high and play it safe. And Colton Lane just spins the tires down there on the asphalt and comes up and clips him.
Hard lick into the wall there for Malikian. But back up front, we will see what the strategy is. Now, J.R. Smith and William Hartman did not pit on that last caution flag. Bradley Holly was actually the only driver in contention still that did. He has made his way up to third with that caution. He was battling in P5 at the time it flew, but it looks like Smith and Hartman are choosing to stay out here. I don't think they have any other choice because we are really getting down in the nitty-gritty of this race, and about a dozen laps to go.
Yeah, Smith, Hartman, and Rob Haynes behind Bradley Holly. But then Brendan Chatley came into the pits, as well as Charles Sumner. I mean, obviously, accident. So that's going to really jumble up the front of this field. If J.R. Smith can't get a good launch like the last time he did, he's going to get eaten alive by a bunch of trucks on newer tires. This is really going to bunch up the field.
And Holly on the bottom as well. We've seen him struggle down there. Bristol, of course, known for its varying lanes throughout history of the track, and the bottom in these trucks seems to do better than the other NASCAR stock cars, the Xfinity and the Cup cars, but it doesn't seem very good, in comparison to that momentum you get off the top side still. But at the same time, like you said, with the spinning of the tires and the stack up that is kind of anticipated, I think anything is on the table right now for these guys.
Yeah, and he's going to have the struggle of having Brendan Chatley, who has brand new tires, starting on his outside. Bradley Holly's going to have the fight of his life just to get to the high side, much less make a pass on the guys.
Yeah, it's a good point as well. He might have to become a very defensive driver more quickly than he'd like to. I'm sure offense is on his mind. Holly, like I've said a couple times tonight, going for his third win in a row. J.R. Smith, his best finish so far, a P5 at Rockingham. William Hartman coming off a second place finish last week at Texas. He also had a second place finish at Rockingham. I'm sure he does not want this to become a streak of becoming the bridesmaid, but he's going to have to put up quite a fight. We are getting in formation. It will be a 10-lap shootout. The 33 of J.R. Smith on the bottom. He's going to get on the gas. He's going to go. The green flag waves once again here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Bradley Holly putting all kinds of pressure on Hartman for second. A big stack up as they come out of the corner. Trouble behind him. Brendan Chatley gets hooked by Rob Haynes, and his truck goes flying through the air.
That was a huge accident a huge rollover almost for Brendan Chatley as he got put onto his side. That was a real stack up there as we go to take a look at the replay.
We're gonna need to call in established traffic control to clean up this mess. This is gonna be quite the a lot of drivers involved in this. I think everyone behind them for the most part. I think Colton Lane got through there. It looks like Austin Hunter got through there as well. But behind him, everyone involved just ran out of room.
Yeah, it looks like Chatley actually decided to go up high. He was paying such close attention to the battle that was happening ahead. He thought he'd left a lane, but it wasn't quite wide enough for the likes of Rob Haynes to get through, and so he got turned.
Right on board with John LaBaff, who his season started out with some good luck, and ever since then it seems as if it has become bad luck.
Yeah, he just didn't really know where to go there and decided to try and take avoiding action. He got a little bit lucky with the netcode, but yeah, I mean, he really got a little bit of target fixation, started to aim up to the right towards that accident, and at the very last minute decided to go down. If it wasn't for the netcode, he'd have a way worse truck off than he does now.
Down to 7 laps to go here at Bristol under caution. One interesting tidbit from that exchange there is that Bradley Holly was up in second by about half a truck length at the time that the yellow tablecloth flew. So that's going to put Bradley Holly on the front row here on this final restart.
Definitely, and that's actually a really good thing for Bradley Holly, considering the fact that he's going to line up in the lane with everybody with fresh tires. And we've seen how badly the bottom stacks up with really anybody, but especially people with older tires. We got J.R. Smith and William Hartman who are going to be on the bottom there. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do, but we are in full shadow now with the whole track in shadow right here at Bristol. So the track temperatures dropped to 82 degrees. It's going to be interesting to see how everyone is able to hold on here as we take a look at the weather.
Yeah, indeed. Like you said, down to 82 degrees on track, and these two have met before up front, Bradley Holly and J.R. Smith, the two drivers out of Texas who had quite the battle last week at Texas. That one went to Holly, ultimately. And J.R. Smith, don't get me wrong, he's been fast, he's been impressive, but this is going to be the fight of his life, I think, here at the end here at Bristol, as we are going to have one lap to green here. If a caution flag flies, that will end the race. They'll restart with 4 laps to go. There will be no caution on the last lap. We're going to have to see how this one plays out. They're going to be aggressive for sure. I think it's safe to say that since no one knows when the caution's going to fly, you want to get to that lead as soon as possible. The iRacing Mustang pace car pulls off. That's the signal for J.R. Smith to go. He goes as soon as he can. He knows those old tires are going to get eaten up by the fresh tires of Bradley Holly behind him. Through turns 1 and 2, Holly gets there.
And Colton Lane has moved up to 3rd position. He's got newer tires than even Bradley Holly, so he's in a really good shot for the lead here.
Down to 3 to go. Everyone looking for what they can here at the end. Holly putting pressure on Smith. Lane putting pressure on Holly.
And Lane's got actually the better tires here. He's just got to manage his stuff. He's only got 2 laps to do it, but we'll see whether or not he can get a line underneath Bradley Holly and steal away that 2nd position.
They're coming up to the white flag, and after 150 long laps, it's going to be half a mile of racing left here at the last Great Coliseum through turns 1 and 2. Holly doesn't have anything for him. Does he get the run off the corner he needs? He's going to dive it down to the bottom. Can he make it stick down there? The momentum's going to shift back to the 33 of J.R. Smith. Contact is made, and J.R. Smith is going to take his first win of the season here in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series.
What a race.
I told you in the pre-race show, Bristol has never left me anywhere but the edge of my seat, and it did not fail us tonight either. That was some fantastic racing. You can't not love that. We're going to step away from the action for just one moment. We'll be back with rundown of unofficial results and driver interviews, and I think you're going to want to stick around for those. Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway here in Bristol, Tennessee, where the sun is setting and the dust has just settled. The confetti has fallen as well. J.R. Smith is your winner tonight. He's going to finish first. Bradley Holly takes second. Colton Lane behind him third. Hard charge for him as well. And he started 12th as well, so a great race for him. William Hartman and Austin Hunter, 4th and 5th. Brendan Chatley, Rob Haynes, Mike Richter, Charles Sumner, and Dominic Bajin will round out the top 10.
In 11th, we have Ray Richer, Eric Roberts in 12th position. Nicholas Delp is going to come home in 13th. Thomas Sink, after all of his dramas, still comes home in 14th position. John LaBath in 15th. Robert Prasad Jr. in 16th position. Alec Lumpkin, 17th. Robert Malikian, Sharn Hill, Ronald McManus in finish out your top 20. And then the 21st truck was Brandon Walter.
Indeed it was, and we apologize for technical difficulties here. Just a little bit of software issue on our end, but we've got some great clips from the Great Race of Texas from last week. I highly encourage you go check that out afterwards if you haven't already. We do have driver interviews as well, though, to talk to, and this is going to be good. You have the winner, J.R. Smith. JR, that was a heck of a race, and I'm sure you're very glad to get the first win of the season here at Bristol.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was a heck of a battle you had there. What was going through your mind when you saw that last caution fly and you lined up alongside Bradley Holly there and you knew he had tires?
Yeah, I was worried about tires, but as long as I was getting good restarts like I was all night, it wasn't going to be too bad. Mostly just decisions, seeing if you're going to pit or not, just counting how many cars you'd have behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Saw pit strategy play a huge role tonight. We had that huge, long green flag run. It was nearly 100 laps. How did that fare on the tires?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. About like 20 laps in, I think Brad had gotten tires after that 10-lap run or so, and he had run me down. So I just said whatever and started trying stuff, and the bottom came in like crazy. I mean, in practice, no one ran down there. It was pretty bad, and then out of nowhere, it wasn't fun to drive, but it was really fast. So it's fun to be fast.
It's fun to watch all you guys be fast. It was a great race, and we'll let you go for the night. But before we do, is there anyone we want to give a thank you or a shout out to after your first win here?
Yeah, thanks PRL for putting it on, and thanks you guys for broadcasting.
Yeah, we love doing it. That was J.R. Smith there in second, and in first and in second place is Bradley Holly, and he's caught up with Adam.
Bradley Holly, this is your third race in a row in the top 5. You came just short of a win today, but I mean, how do you feel about that result?
I'm pretty happy considering me having to not realizing everybody else is pitting and going in after on this, I guess, second to last caution to get tires. Made me a little nervous with 20.
Yeah, we just thought you had some brilliant strategy in place, but you were actually gaining on that third to last caution and during that shorter run there. And so did you really think you had a chance to get up there and catch them if the cautions wouldn't have flied like they did?
I believe I did. It's just so hard to pass at Bristol that I would have had to stuff it in there to make it work.
Well, your top 5 finishes are keeping your team high in the championship. You're likely going to go into the next round in first place in the team championship. How's your teammate doing down there?
He's doing great. He's, I believe, got a top 5.
Awesome. All right, Bradley. Is there anyone you want to thank tonight before we let you go?
I'd like to thank my sponsor, North Star Title, ETC for our sponsor, for sponsoring the series, and my teammate for getting yet another top 5.
Awesome. And great race tonight, Bradley. It was great talking to you.
Thank you.
All right, and it looks like Nicholas Schmeg has caught up with our third place driver, Colton Lane.
I have indeed, and Colton, I'm a big numbers guy. You started the season off with 2 12th place finishes. Then you had 2 third place finishes, including tonight, after you started 12th. So how's that result for you tonight? Kind of came out of nowhere there at the end on fresh tire.
It's definitely more in line with where I want to be finishing instead of 12th. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't blame you there. You're moving in the right direction, though, going forward. Just haven't been able to piece one of these together. It looks like you got stuck in traffic, though, pretty heavy throughout that middle part of the race and that long run we saw.
Yeah, the long run, when we got to the end of it, I decided to pit with about 20 laps of fuel left because I was coming up on a lot of lap traffic, and it almost worked out for me. I almost had I would have finished third again, but we had that caution. It kind of bejumbled things up, and then I got in some trouble there, but it all worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. You're on this great streak of podium finishes. Do you think you can keep that going into another short track next week at Richmond?
I'm not sure about a top 3, but I'm always looking out for the top 5. So that's my goal every week is to come out and get a top 5 because we've got a lot of good guys out here like JR and Brad and all that. Oh, Thomas too, my teammate, I should say. Don't want to leave him out.
Yeah, you guys have put on a heck of a show tonight, and we're excited to see you next week at Richmond. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go tonight?
Yeah, real quick, I want to say, been neglecting our title sponsor for a little bit. Established Traffic Control coming out here and sponsoring this series with Brendan Chatley. He's kind of like our segue. I'm not sure if he owns the business or works for him, something like that, but he definitely got us a connection there and, got us sponsored out here and got us so we could have a broadcast with you guys.
Well, I'm sure they are enjoying seeing their company on this show because it's been a great one. So congratulations on your third place tonight. And hey, we want to give a special thank you to everyone who came out tonight for the 4th round of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, especially everyone who helps in the organization and behind-the-scenes logistics in the Precision Racing League. We also want to thank Established Traffic Control once again for sponsoring tonight's race, and an additional thanks to all the amazing companies that provide the software and hardware that we use to create a GSRC production for you. We also, of course, want to thank the very talented June the Lawn who provides our music. See the screen for more on how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team tonight, Adam, Sean, and Dougie. Make sure you check out the GSRC on social media as well. You can do that at our website at globalsimracingchannel.com, on Twitter at GSR Channel, on Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, on Instagram at GSR_Graham, and of course on our YouTube channel right here, right now. We invite you to scroll down just a touch and hit that big red subscribe button so you won't miss a second of racing. That's going to do it for the racing tonight in Bristol, but that will not do it for the racing tonight here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Round 4 of the Lionheart IndyCar Series is happening tonight at 10:35 Eastern at ISM Raceway down in Phoenix over on the iRacing Esports Network. So I highly persuade you to go over there for some more great racing. The PRL NASCAR Truck Series will as well be back next Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for Round 5 at Richmond for some more great short track action. So mark your calendars and come join us for that as well. Finally, with all that being said, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast tonight. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.